So the devs recently had a dev stream showcasing Update 61 and all the cool additions and changes coming to Foxhole. After watching the whole dev stream, I gotta say this is one update I am extremely excited for. And before we get into it all, I'm gonna put up a disclaimer that these changes, even if they go live, are always subject to change. I feel like I'm kind of sounding like Shadowfrax a bit, but based on how things were announced and subsequently put on pause or flat out changed the previous update video I did, I'm going to be including this disclaimer in all of my update overview videos moving forward. So with that, let's dive into the video. I'm going to condense as much of the information as possible, giving you all the highlights of what's to come in Update 61. And at the end of the video, I'll give you my thoughts on the update and share what I'm most and least excited for. So starting off, the devs shared another merch drop with us. There's going to be more patches for the Kali and Warden infantry, and also flags for both the Warden and Kali factions. By the way, you guys, it is ethically sourced cotton, and I can attest that it is ethically sourced. I picked that shit myself. But anyway, moving into the actual update, this is a builder-focused update. They said it's a very small update, but as we get into it, you guys, there is a lot to unpack here, and there's a lot being added in Update 61. So starting off, we have general features. We've got extra range for rocket artillery. Buildings on fire are now suppressed. CVs and cranes will be built in garages and facilities. Also, these can be crated in groups of 5 now. I think it's just for CVs and cranes built in facilities. Don't quote me on that, but they did say something along the lines of crating CVs and cranes as well. There's going to be a hospital loadout added, a pipe structure category for you builders out there, and minor Stilken shelf changes. They're basically just adding another town called the Pale House. That's it for the general features. Next, we move into 20mm unification. We have AT pillboxes now suppressing tanks and stripping armor, but in addition to that, they will fire at infantry, you guys. What does this mean for the rifle pillbox or the machine gun pillbox? I feel like machine gun pillboxes are still going to be useful. There's still going to be a use case for them, but I think that AT pillboxes are primarily going to be spammed out in exchange for rifle pillboxes. We also have T3G houses, town bases, relic bases that will be firing 30mm at vehicles. Next, we move on to the early war bunker bonus. So this was brought up mainly because the devs wanted to focus more on defensive play instead of the early war mass rush on the front line. So now there's going to be a friendly territory bonus for bunkers, and they'll receive this based also on the activity in that bunker. Yes, you still need to be active, you still need to set your spawn and be doing stuff around that bunker in order for the tech to progress. The bonus will eventually decrease over time and applies to both factions and at the same rate regardless of population. This is again meant to help establish initial defensive lines and progressive lines throughout the entirety of a war. Speaking of wars, this leads into the next topic, short wars, you guys. So now we will have special alternate conditions for wars that may precede updates. Again, I want to further emphasize this. This is specifically for wars preceding an update, not your general war like War 124. So factions have a set amount of time in order to reach their required minimum of towns by the end of the war in order to win. And if that doesn't happen, it basically means there's a draw and both sides don't win. In my opinion, this is probably the biggest argument for break wars you could possibly make. Short wars are the new break war, you guys. Anything else is cope. Next, we have a huge change to Foxhole that is improved hit registration improvements. And I'm going to say right now, there were plenty of Foxhole players out there. Man, I'm talking about Joe Schmo Colonial, who's a Kali vet. You know, he's been playing the war since he was in diapers. Fucking saying, oh, dude, you don't need to lead your shots. Don't worry about the tracers, you guys. Don't worry about leading your shots. It's hit scan. It's hit scan, you guys. Just aim at the person. Fucking bullshit. We all know that there's some latency, and when you have so many different players across the world playing together, you're going to have to aim in front of your target at some points just to get a hit off them. And in some cases, you may not even hit them at all. So with all that being said, this is another iterative step to mitigating the effects of in-combat latency. There's a whole lot of technical gibberish on the screen here you can read, but basically this reduces the need to lead your shots based on latency, and the tech that they're using is similar to industry standards for FPS games. This is great stuff to see. I'm super excited for it. I'm looking forward to testing this out as well in the dev branch, which all of these things, whenever the dev branch becomes live, are testable there. Next, we have revisiting pipe fluid mechanics, probably the most boring part of this update. I'm going to just say it out there, unless if you're a facility Chad, then you're gonna fucking oil yourself up for these pipes. But the gist of this is basically an easier way to maintain pipes and know what's in the pipes, and less cumbersome by building more pipes to just control the flow. It's a lot of quality of life stuff. But moving on, we've got tripod mounts in bunkers. Yes, now you'll be able to actually fire within bunkers. There will be mounting points now for your weapons, allowing weapons to be used from within cover and giving you more resilience against tanks and arty. It also allows for more robust player man defenses, and the other interesting part is ammo is actually saved within that bunker. Something I think a lot of you builders are going to like, and a lot of players who deal with frontline bunker bases with randoms coming in and building trenches around you, is a new trench hardpoint system. This is going to allow for tighter trench bunker connections, but it can also allow for a one-way system where players can vault over the top and go through the other side, but not enter through that same way. This is going to be great for holding bunkers, and if you ever see a bullshit trench line that leads to your bunker, you can just put one of these hardpoints down, and yeah, you don't have to worry about the infantry running into your bunker base anymore. Moving on with the theme of building, we have new tier garrisons, and I would put new with an asterisk, but basically you can now make T1 AT garrisons as well as Howie pieces. Yes, you heard that right. You'll be shooting howitzers at T1. But yes, all three types of bunker garrisons can now be built in all of the different tiers within Foxhole. There's also a T1 observation bunker. It doesn't provide any intelligence detection, but it still provides great functionality for you spotters out there. There's also a new building method hardpoint that's being introduced in the game. These are large structures which require shippable parts at facilities. Parts must be shipped and assembled with a crane at a large structure foundation, which is a 3x3 modified bunker. This allows for the selection of a desired large structure like a storm cannon. It still requires time to settle and allows large structures to be made more valuable. Some new content we have is construction equipment. This is built at a small assembly station. It's a shippable equipment that automatically submits materials into nearby build sites within a 5-meter range. This helps facilitate large construction projects. It can also dig, which is cool. And it's got a stockpile which uses gravel and another building material in order to build whatever structure is in its vicinity. Kind of weird that it requires gravel to run, but hey man, gravel is in abundance, so I'm not gonna complain. Next, we have some balance changes for large structures. So Storm Cannon Intelligence Center and the rocket site will now cost rare mats, reduce time to gain advanced bunkers. The nuke range has increased. The Intel Center range has also increased. The weather station will no longer require advanced bunker tech in order to build. The weather station will arrive earlier in the war. Storm cannons can now deal more damage and cause leaks in large ships. 300mm now unlocks before 150mm. That's the meme, but no, it unlocks with T2 facilities. And then storm cannons are unlocked at the same time rare metal begins to drop, which makes sense. Next, we have a very cool feature, which is the fire suppression system. This is basically a sprinkler system for your bunker base. It's a new mod you can add. It requires power and water in order to operate. And lastly, multiple of these can be built within a bunker base. You don't have to be locked to just one sprinkler system. In addition to new bunker modifications, there's also the arty shelters that have been added. This is a new bunker mod that increases resistance to arty attacks. It increases high explosive resistance at the expense, though, of structure integrity. So the example that they gave in the dev stream was you could have a bunker base that's extremely resistant to artillery attacks, but let's say there was a infantry or frontline attack that included a mix of tanks, maybe a havoc charge or something like that. Your bunker base is going to be way more susceptible to those types of attacks. So this leads to thoughts about how you want to actually structure your bunker base. Maybe you want to have a frontline resisting type bunker to withstand those, infantry and tank attacks. And then just behind that, you can have an arty bunker base. That way you have two options for people to spawn at, and that way a greater chance of staying alive and keeping your bunker base alive on the front line. There is also a power system unification. So now you can connect power lines to bunkers. Bunker pipe modifications are being removed completely. Power is no longer transmitted internally. So engine rooms act as an internal battery for your bunker base. It consumes diesel and generates reserve power. Reserve power is consumed by bunker garrison lights and large structures, and this reserve power consumption has been reduced on bunker garrison lights specifically. There's also been a change and revamp to bunker layouts, so now bunker garrisons can be built besides each other, which means if you wanted a 3-line of ATG, rifle, and machine gun garrison, you could do that. Also, arty garrison retaliation now scales proportionately with the number of incoming shells. So those howitzers, they'll fire more or less depending on how much incoming shells they're receiving. There's also improved building footprint for tighter fitting designs. We'll just have to wait and see what that ends up looking like in the dev branch. There's a new feature with bunkers now called bunker breaching. So now bunkers can be semi-destroyed in parts, which allow for attackers to gain access to that bunker. Think of it as just like a section or a corner, a piece, if you will, of the bunker being collapsed and you can enter into. Bunkers become breached when they drop below a health threshold, which is being called breachable health, and that's determined by structural integrity. Going back to what I mentioned earlier about, building your bunkers a certain way, incorporating an arty resistance at the cost of structural integrity. Essentially what this means is the lower the structure's health, the more susceptible it is to breach. That breach is kind of on an RNG basis based off of the health, but there are certain weapons like the Havoc Charge that can breach the bunker without reaching that threshold. There's also some bunker balance changes that are being released, like a new bunker upgrade tree. Now, concrete will no longer require tech in order for you to build. You can start making concrete day one and conking up your bases. Tech, however, is still required for those AI defenses like the garrisons. Structural integrity between bunker tiers is all unified, and there's increased integrity bonuses for condensed layouts and for having bunker tiles between bunker garrisons, kind of like how you already build them today. Next, we've got some more new content, starting off with the naval uniforms. We've got the Colonial Remix Garb and the Warden Gentleman's Peacoat. We also have new siege equipment for the Collies, a revamped King Jester for the Wardens, and the Wardens get another O'Brien as well. With this new equipment, we also have new types of armament, starting off with the Bunker Buster rocket for the Wardens. This is specialized specifically for devastating enemy structures and breaching those bunkers, as I mentioned before. There's also a Bunker Buster 250 mil for the new siege equipment as well. In terms of the Warden Bunker Buster tank, the King Jester, it shoots 4 of these bunker busting missiles, and the new armored car that the Wardens get, the O'Brien, shoots 10 3C high explosive rockets. Lastly, you guys, this was probably the biggest hype, I'd say, for the update. We have a new structure being released called Underground Fortresses. You can now build underground bunkers for you to stockpile, for you to mount a last stand in defense, and it's a deployment point for your frontline forces. The really neat part is it can only be destroyed inside by explosives. So no matter how much arty is getting shelled, no matter how many tanks shoot it from the outside and above ground, you're going to need infantry to get inside and get dirty. You're going to need infantry to get inside and get dirty with explosives in order to fully destroy this structure. And that's everything that's included in Update 61. In terms of what I'm most and least excited for, let's start off with the latter. And that's a bit up in the air right now, but I really want to know what the cost ends up being for some of these large structures now costing rare mats. I'm personally not a supporter of the introduction of rare metals due to how RNG it is, and I would have favored a more expensive recipe to be included for more expensive pieces of equipment. But we'll just have to wait and see how expensive the new storm cannon ends up being, as well as the underground bunker. I'm really hoping that doesn't cost any rare metals, but we'll just have to see, you guys. I am, though, really excited for the arty shelter, the sprinkler system that's being added. The fact that they are fixing the aiming system in Foxhole, I mean, that's been a huge issue. I remember playing on stream, and I'd just like miss every single fucking shot with rifle or an SMG. It really doesn't matter. But hopefully that fixes a lot of that, and it's just way more consistent with the aiming. But lastly, what I am most excited for, you guys, are these underground bunkers and how they'll affect the battlefield. The fact that you can stockpile these things, set your spawn to them, and that they're only able to be destroyed from the inside, I feel like there's going to be a lot of Last Stand Alamo-esque battles when this thing drops. Overall, I'm really excited for these new changes and definitely plan on making those underground Saddam bunkers when it comes out. Let me know what you think of the update down in the comment section below. Do you guys like these additions? Are you sad that we still can't remove trees? And which naval uniform do you think had the best drip? I want to know everyone's thoughts. But that's it for the video, you guys. Thank you all so much for watching. If you enjoyed, please consider leaving a like and subscribe for more Foxhole related content. Take care, and I'll see you all in the next one.
Kissing and I'm gripping on his thighs. Drag that penis till he nutted on my eye. Looking at the table, all I see is 50 guys. Yeah, you tryna give me pipe, but my booty is too tight. Giving brain to him and all his friends. His dick big and dark, boy, I cannot pretend. I'm getting raped, semen on my chin.